when it comes to hearing new music, I think it's been pretty cool for me. Because we all know for a fact there's always going to be more than a few guys that end up having a spark and slowly build it. And when I made my video at the start of this year, explaining what I think about all the artists that may take off this year, I included guys like Diorvsyou. And I always seen the potential with his sound. But it started making sense after projects like Ashes and Pauses. Because once you hear it, there's two ways you might react. Damn, this sound refreshing with a balance of that atmosphere music. Or nah, I can't get with this. It sounds like Lone. Whereas for me, I honestly feel like the best way you can describe Dior music is chill, relaxing, dreamy, while still diving into that ambient lane that Lone polished for himself and brings his own spin, tone, energy, vocally to his tracks. And for some guys, it may seem like it's a little too similar at the moment, and that's okay. But there's a lot of people who enjoy the music because his monthly listeners has went up since I spoke about him, just getting that exposure. And for a guy that's not signed, you definitely see it. And there are people catching on to the fact that he can easily branch off and create something that's phasing or evolving from that whole concept. And with seeing how well he's doing right now, and for a guy that's not that huge yet, getting major eyes on him hasn't been a problem. He's already involved with Ian Connor, so it wasn't crazy to see Kanye tapping in. I seen academics even comment on his post recently, so he's naturally connected with some guys who might be involved with Opium or YVL. So here and there, you might see him with guys like Bobo, PZ, Tana, whoever it may be. The whole point being is that you shouldn't be surprised if you see these rappers in the same places, especially in Atlanta, because people say all the time, Atlanta is so connected, everybody is somewhat involved with each other. And one thing I noticed about ATL rap and the music industry, no rapper is too big to be in the same scenery as a guy just as connected as you are, because it all revolves around the same shit: network, labels, and money. And this brings me to my point where I bring up the whole Dior and Lone situation, because a few months ago, right, we seen Dior hop on the Twitter space with a few pages who fuck with his music and just yap, you know? But throughout this convo, it kind of got to a point where Dior was talking about how much he looked up to the culture of ATL. And this was during the time the whole comparison shit was going on. Even though it's still happening, it was like at the stem of it. And he kind of addressed the whole comparison shit. He's like, yo, and people shouldn't be surprised if he sounds like Cardi alone, because it all stems from the same place. Then somebody replied trying to compare him alone, and Dior said, bro, I'll fuck with his music. I was actually in the same studio as bro. And people took that small recording, right, and threw it on Twitter. Eventually Lone seen it, and the first thing that Lone said when he seen this was, cap, no diss, I see you inspired for me, maybe I should sign you. And people didn't know if that was a compliment or he was just trying to little bro him. I don't know what that is specifically, but you actually had people questioning, was Dior lying? Dior responded by saying, I got nothing to lie for, but it's okay, y'all can think what y'all want, because it will all make sense in the future. And even though that situation wasn't that deep, people kind of made it a big deal because Lone has already had a weird reputation of lying about being in the same scenery as people, content creators, rappers. For example, like the whole Bruce situation. Bruce had footage of the whole shit, and Lone still lied about being involved with that. And whenever he do lie about things like this, it kind of give off like he trying to have an ego, or he don't want to be seen in public with certain people. I kind of get it, but then I don't get it, because it's just like, what is hurting you for saying, yeah, I was in the studio, bro? That was it. It ain't like you made songs with the nigga. Ain't nobody saying that, you know? Ain't nobody pushing it and being like, oh man, yeah, me and Lone, we bros. We doing this and that. He just saying, yeah, we was in the same scenery. I don't think he gonna lose anything from that. So the whole thing created this weird tension between them. Fast forward a few days ago, there was a photo of Jim Jones, Playboy Cardi, Bobo chilling at the stoop, right? And it was posted on IG and Twitter. But if you look closely on the right, you can see a guy that's in the frame a little bit. You can tell it's Dior just by the hair and the outfit. And y'all know how Twitter is. After this got online, you had tons of people bringing up why Lone lied about being in the stew with Dior. And it clicked for some people like, hey, maybe Dior wasn't lying. He's in the stew with Cardi. Why would he lie about Lone? They definitely are two different scenarios. And the crazy thing about Dior being in the stew with Cardi, this probably not the first time either. It only continues because it was only a matter of time before Lone seen this crazy amount of hate he was getting for this whole situation on Twitter. And eventually he addressed this whole thing again, but instead in Twitter DMs. And here's what he said. Yeah, he'll tell you himself that never happened. Y'all niggas need to stay on the net. Laughing emoji. I ain't got no reason to lie for you little ass kids, dog. Watch your mouth. Dior also responded to this. We just have a screenshot of some messages. I don't know if this is with Days or somebody else. I said stop comparing us because I fuck with bro and take inspiration. Like every other ATL artist down a grapevine. I wouldn't want people to compare me to Cardi, Ken, Future, nobody. Then somebody responded and said, I genuinely don't understand his issue with you, bro. Then he responded and said that I see as a staple from the city. All that shit just caused disruption when we are real life people that do real life things. I said I was in the stew. He was in the same stew at the same time. TZ ran into him. I was recording. All I said was niggas shouldn't make unwarranted narratives playing with anybody egos, because niggas could be in the same places. I gotta deal with this shit. Not the niggas getting the jokes off. You can screenshot this shit too. And he ain't lie. He ain't see me in the studio at that time. So you can clear that up. And people don't seem to understand being in the same stew doesn't mean that you're recording together. You had people jumping the gun being like, oh, Dior saying that he recording with bro. No. He said he was in the same studio. There can be multiple rooms in the same stew. Doesn't mean they're in the same booth. Doesn't mean they making tracks together. But Twitter made it a huge deal. And I'm not gonna lie, Lone tweets also made it look like he was trying to little bro him. So it made things a little awkward. And I could kind of get that. But I'm seeing people argue that Lone wasn't really wrong, bro. Dior still made it seem like they was in the same exact studio, bro. They was together. Maybe it came off as if they were together, but people didn't seem to comprehend that well. I don't know why. And Lone just didn't know he was there. He just didn't know. But instead of being like, you know what, maybe he was there, I just didn't run into him, it became a whole thing where he felt like Dior was trying to group himself in and trying to make it seem like they were in a studio. But he's like, cat, what's the problem with saying we weren't in the same room, but yeah, we might have been in the same building? Shit, that's what's up though. Keep going, young nigga. You know, something like that. But like, it's more of like, nah, I wasn't near that nigga. So a lot of those Dior fans or the people that fuck with the underground real heavy, they like, damn, Long, nigga, it's okay. Even if you was in the studio, nobody finna hurt you. Nigga, you okay, bro? But I can see how Lone is, because he's like, why y'all trying to group me in with this nigga so bad? Y'all be comparing me to him, everything. Like, bro, chill out. That's probably what's going through Lone head, and it's making him feel some type of way about the whole situation when that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not that deep anyway. And one thing I'm noticing about Dior, he not trying to make it a big deal either. He's like, yo, bro, I look up to him, gang. I fuck with bro music. I don't want to make this a big issue, but I hope niggas realize it ain't hard for another nigga to be in the same place as them. All this shit is because disruption. If it wasn't drama, controversy, and comparisons involved, it wouldn't be a problem. But I think that added on top of it, and when Lone made it clear it was Cap, it kind of made it seem like he was dissing, bro. So people kind of took that and just ran with it. And now we had this weird tension between Dior and Lone. And Lone already has a problem with Twitter, because Twitter hate Lone. They love bro music, but anytime he get in a situation, we know it get bad. But I'm sure they gonna talk about it one-on-one or whatever. It's not a big issue. They may be cool behind scenes. We don't really know anything for real like that. I do kind of agree with the whole thing of saying, yo, if you in a stew with somebody, you want to be very clear with it though, because this could have been cleared up hellas ago, bro. Whenever those tweets was going back and forth, he could have just been like, yo, bro, yeah, we ain't have the same session, but we was in the same building. It would have been situated right there. Now you got a lot of people saying, yo, he was bragging about being in the same place as him. But I think he replied with that because there were people in the same call trying to make it seem like him and Lone had an issue or whatever. And he was like, nigga, I was just in the same stew as Lone last week. So that's probably the case, but I can't speak for him, you know? But one thing I think we all learned from this shit, because I know this unemployed news at this fucking point, but if we being real, if you are hanging out with Wifey or Opium and you in a stew with them or some shit like that, don't even tell her. Keep it to yourself, gang. Because if you do say that, ain't nobody gonna believe you anyway. Well, people gonna believe you, but then you might create a problem with Lone or Ken or somebody. Somebody might say some shit, man, I want in the studio with that nigga. They might act like they don't know you. But if you are surrounded with Opium, don't tell us. We're good. Because to be honest with you, this would have never happened if Dior never said anything in the first place. I don't think anybody would care. But it's also a thing that Dior has fans. He do. He got people that support him on Twitter really heavy. And they call people attention because a lot of people was against Lone. He didn't already have a situation where he lied about being surrounded with people. It's like, damn, nigga, it's okay. You can be human. You know, you could be surrounded with some guys. And you know what's crazy, bro? They were just in the same scenery in Paris. So it's always gonna be this weird tension now, this awkwardness. I don't know if they're gonna have that conversation because Twitter took this shit a little too far from what it was. And now we know that Cardi knows of Dior, so it's not crazy to say that Dior is connected. It could be in the same places, man. How do you feel about this whole situation? Was it pointless? Do you feel like things could be handled a little differently? But yeah, I'm done chatting. Make sure y'all follow my IG and my Twitch right now. I stream very randomly on there. I love y'all so much. I stay blessed. Peace.